pictures to see what it looks like with us in the seat open.
Hi, Miki das. Hello, everyone. I'm Miki, your dogfighter VTuber with the 10 the clouds, since I'm always flying planes. We are not flying planes, but we are talking about planes. And we are joined here by our lovely co-host.
Hi, I am Jover VT. I fly planes too, and do some other stuff sometimes. Whether it be being in the backseat as a weapons systems officer, or just flying civilian planes around, taking off and landing, and taking off and landing, and taking off and landing again, and pretending to make money. We also have a guest today.
Hello. I am Airshow, the aeroplane VTuber, and I fly all kinds of things, not necessarily well, but well enough.
Airshow is our fantastic guest and pilot for today. He's also the plane. This is
raises questions, doesn't it?
Yeah, we had to move to a hangar to fit him in here, so that's why the background's different.
It's good. It's nice and dingy in here, which suits me fine.
Airshow needs to be louder. Thank you for the notice. Airshow, can you say something for me?
G'day.
Oh my god. I'm gonna have to put you up to... Alright, this.
Oh, wait, how about now?
Alright, that should be good. Joe, can you say something? I should have done an audio check before this.
I am Jover VT. I'm the other dog.
I have to...
Dog 2.
One.
There's two?
Yeah, there's 2 dogs.
Getting on the phone. Now it's two of them.
Joe's a bit more louder. Well, I've got them both at the same stage of the mixer. There's nothing I can do.
Yeah. How it be?
Alright. So, I guess, I've never done a guest segment before. Lower the BGM. So demanding. Okay. I can actually do that.
Oh my goodness, this is just
a train wreck, I know.
You're being given demands here.
This is a plane crash we're having here.
It's all good.
All right, so I don't know exactly how we should be doing guest segments. My gut says probably at the end after the news, but also I think it's more fun to throw our guest in and force them to comment on random shit.
That's what I'm here for.
And also, since Airshow's probably up with some of this news, he's probably got some opinions, so you can probe him for that. But
go right ahead.
What other context? So Airshow, do you want to talk a little bit first about what you do?
Sure. Well, for the most part, I live stream on Twitch and focus predominantly on aviation content. When I very first got started in content creation, I actually used to make videos on YouTube specifically about Escape from Tarkov. And I can't quite remember what drew me towards. I think it was back when Pestily was streaming Escape from Tarkov a lot, and I was like, I can do that. And I did it for a bit, got introduced to VTubing, became a VTuber past a certain point, and took a bit of a hiatus in 2021 where I couldn't stream very much, and then came back at the end of that and started streaming with relative regularity after that point and focused on DCS, which really just coincided with the fact that I started playing DCS a lot more then. And I don't know why, because I had always played DCS, but I'd never taken it very seriously. And never put in the amount of effort that was necessary to really come to grips with a lot of the modules that I owned. And then after that, I started sticking to a 3 times a week schedule for no real reason except wanting to, and I found it fun, and ended up here.
Well, you know what they say, at least in the precision rifle world, consistency is the key to accuracy.
It is, definitely. And I don't know, I always like structure, so having like a designated time to be somewhere and do something, I find to be a great comfort. So yeah, it's just self-imposed regularity for no real reason except for the fact that it's fun.
Yeah, and you said you came to terms with a lot of your DCS or got to learn more of your DCS modules. I think is probably the more accurate thing. Airshow D, for context here, I think it's probably easier to count the modules he doesn't know how to fly than it is to count the modules he knows how to fly.
Well, at this point, I think the only ones I don't know and can't hop in and fly are the Mirage 2000, the MiG-15, the trainer aircraft, and the Apache. And I think that's all I'm missing.
That's a very short list.
Well, just as I always tell people, if you make learning part of the fun, then you'll just enjoy it.
Absolutely. And
Amazing. Oops, sorry. You go ahead, Mika.
speaking of DCS, if we are ready, our first news story is DCS related.
Yay, my favorite.
So, this past week, DCS put out a follow-up newsletter to their 2024 and beyond video. This includes Vulkan API, which should streamline DCS's graphics and processing tasks, providing greater performance for players with both NVIDIA, Intel, and AMD hardware. Additionally, with other announcements that they have in that same post, they have save games so missions can be saved mid-mission, improvements to the replay system so that they will work version to version without errors, additional air, ground, and naval units from World War II to modern day to flesh out scenarios. A new 2-component landing gear system similar to what's on the Mosquito is going to be brought to other modules. They plan to improve the ECM system, a long-awaited task and a rather complex one. They stated as well, this might be me reading into things or not reading it right, so I'll just put that caveat there, but they stated that the ATC now has a solid design, but it needs the voice dialogue and an improved interface. So that might mean it's pretty close. And then finally, they said spherical Earth is a big challenge. My God, I cannot speak today. And it is not expected in 2024, but they are working on it.
I've always wondered what they meant by spherical Earth.
I assume, actually, I'm not too read into this, but my assumption would be the thing of stitching the maps together. But the other thing might just be that I think currently the maps are just flat and not curved. But I don't think curving the maps would really make too much of an impact on the gameplay unless you're in really significantly northern latitudes.
Yeah. No, I think, yeah. No, I'm curious because the way that they phrase spherical Earth makes it seem as if, like, it's going to be like Microsoft Flight Simulator, you know, where you can just go anywhere. But I struggle to imagine how they would do that.
Probably by charging a few $100s.
I think by
That much is a certainty.
I think the true cost would be all of the GPUs and CPUs melted in the process.
Almost without doubt. The ECM thing is interesting too, because I don't think the modeling of ECM in DCS has ever advanced beyond simple values that if you are beyond, I think the burn through ranges vary, but basically there is like a ECM is working or isn't working range.
Yeah. ECM is definitely a system that could be simplified quite a bit because I've said this many times before, but if you're talking about everything but spoofing, or if you're excluding spoofing and other similar things that are so exceptionally secret, it's hard to even do anything with it. The basic ECM jamming principle is you're putting out a signal to block out the radar return of your own thing. So it all comes down to how strong is the radar return from your aircraft versus the ECM. And then the actual tricky secretish part in that is how good is the specific radar that you're jamming at picking out a garbled signal. Because there's a point where if the ECM is so much stronger than the signal is just lost and nothing can dig that out. But when the signal to the noise ratio is pretty close, that's where the filtering really comes in, and that's the unknown.
And I think the biggest hurdle with all of that is always like what the experience for the player will be. Because obviously if like is ECM and suffering in an ECM environment, is that going to be a situation that's actually enjoyable? Or will the player that is, you know, being attacked by ECM have any real understanding of what's going on? Which is why I'm always hesitant whenever the debate comes around about the quality of ECM modeling within DCS, but it's neither hither nor thither.
At the simplest extent of it, ECM really comes down to you have to get closer to your target to burn through, or you can launch home on jam. So it would add an interesting element of counterplay that is complicated, but I think most servers, if they didn't want to deal with it, they could just probably turn it off, because on the F16 you can just exclude the pod.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple other modules that have pods you could just exclude.
Planes like the Hornet have their ECM built into the actual airframe itself rather than being a pod, so I'm not sure how to disable that.
They might be able to do it similar to how other aircraft have systems disabled on servers.
Yeah, okay, that makes more sense. I hope if like they're really gonna go for the ECM thing, they might be open to the ability to, like the idea of adding like actual electronic warfare planes in the future. I think that'd be pretty cool to have either a Raven or a Prowler to go around and jam the life out of an SA6 site or an SA2 site, while your friends just rip harms at it to kill the site.
Yeah, that might be a little difficult with some of those aircraft, because a lot of the dedicated ECM ones, as far as I know, do a lot of spoofing as well, which that makes it really hard to model.
Yeah, and of course there's the whole classification problem too.
Top
Hopefully-
secret, no knowledge of.
Yeah, maybe someday.
All right, next story we have. I think Airshow is also going to be interested in this one. Micropros went live with their V17 Flying Fortress Remasters Steam page.
Yay.
It's it's coming to early access on Steam on the 23rd of this month. So it's coming out real quick. And they say, while staying true to the original, the developers hope to also add to it. Nothing more related to that is stated, on the Steam page at least. The developers also believe that going forward with this remaster will provide them with the opportunity to learn from the original game as they move forward with future Flying Fortress titles. And that's a lot of F's in one sentence, I'm just going to say.
The original is so good. It was what got me into flight simulation and into like flying games. It was my first sim that I ever played, and it's such a good game. But even for the time, it was kind of unergonomic and a bit weird. But with the sort of complexity that you get used to with DCS, something like it is incredibly accessible. The worst part about it, I really wanted to stream the original, and I tried several times, and I did get it to work, but it has the classic old game problems of like being totally incompatible with modern resolutions. You have to edit INI files and all kinds of garbage like that to get it to work. And when you do, it undoes a lot of the stuff that was hidden to make the game seem bigger than it was, which just meant that it wasn't quite like streaming it and making it playable on a modern system wasn't kind of how the game actually played back in the day. So getting them to redux it is insanely cool. I hope that they fix some of the things, the limitations from the original game. Like in the original game, you'd be in a formation of fortresses. I think there was 4x3. So yeah, 3 groups of 4, but 2 of those groups were just AI aircraft that you didn't really do anything and you didn't interact with, whereas the 4 that you were a part of, depending on which mode you were playing in, you could take control of any role in any of them at any time. It would be really nice if they're reduxing it so that they remove those limits so that you can have big wing formations and actual, like, 30, 40, 60 fortresses in a formation. So I have attempted to reach out to the devs to ask them some questions, but they haven't responded yet. But I am really, 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 really excited for it.
Me pointing at screen. Micropose, if you're watching, hit this guy up. He's pretty cool. He will play the shit out of your game.
Micropros are so good. I'm so glad they're back.
Yeah, I'm glad that they're back and they're in their niche. They're not like they're looking at their lineup and they're going, we've got all these great properties and titles. We can just bring these back.
Mm-hmm. It's all they need to do.
And also, Airshow, I'm gonna just excuse me while I cross out these questions that you're accidentally answering for the later portion.
What got me into a flight simulation?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask you to stop answering our questions before they're asked.
I'm too good at this. I'm too good. Get outskilled.
He's a professional, unlike us.
Oh, I wish.
Soon.
No, but and of course they have I think it's the bloody 100th as well that they're working on, and I'm so excited for that.
What's that?
This is the Redux that they're working on, which is a remake of the game from like the 90s, and they're also developing what I guess you would call is a new one. So instead of just updating the old game so that it works on modern systems, they're kind of remaking it as the bloody 100th, and they will come in 2 forms, one of which will be like a flight simulator like the original game with crew management and bombing missions and stuff, and one of them will be in VR.
I am gonna really hope that the new one has multiplayer so I can die horribly with, what is it?
It does.
10 of my friends in a B-17?
Mm-hmm. 10 of your friends in a B-17 in VR dying.
That sounds fantastic. I love it.
Sounds fun.
It's my idea of a good time.
We just need to find 10 people.
Yep. Although we have trouble finding 5 for submarines, I think we could probably find 10 for a B-17.
Yeah.
Yeah, because planes are cooler than boats.
Exactly.
Very true.
Don't tell that to Whiskey.
No.
It depends on what type of plane it is. I think if it's like, oh, you just lie and say it's a Navy plane, it probably works just fine. But I think that's our onto our next significantly less exciting topic.
Joe, you set it as the background and you didn't delete the text boxes. Oof.
Oops.
Oof. Okay, that scuffed. Professionals here.
Just Flight is now teasing their Piper PA-38 Tomahawk again in a new development update, which showcases new cockpit options with both steam gauges and glass avionics. Have I ever seen glass avionics in a Piper PA-38? No, because that plane's a shitbox. It's got no engine power. It's got a bubble canopy, but it's not like one of the cool F-16 ones. It's one of the cook you alive if there's any sun out ones. It's barely able to do IFR, I think. Like it seems like it was just over the standards in like 1970. They're normally trainers. They're extremely cramped. If you have 2 people in it, it'll probably barely climb. But Just Flight is making it, so it'll be really accurate, very well done. Tons of system depth. As much as you can have in a plane like that, I guess. And I guess it'll be a plane that flies.
Interesting. Do you say Tomahawk? I think of the Tomahawk missile. Is this related?
No, this is significantly slower. Let me double check just how slow this thing is.
I think of the steak.
That would also be preferable to flying one of these. They ended production in 1982, and it has a never exceed speed of 138 knots and a cruise speed of 100 knots.
That's really slow.
It's a plane equivalent of walking.
Yeah, I think it's somehow slower than a Cessna 152.
Yeah, that is impressively slow.
How many hard points has it got?
0. You can't. There's not. I don't even think there's a cargo area or like a baggage area anywhere in the plane.
You know you're in for an exciting flight in a light sport aircraft when like the person who's like, "Hey, we're gonna go fly my plane," they have to ask you how much you weigh.
Yeah, it's got a whopping 112 horsepower from its Avro-Lycoming 0235 L2C.
Oh my god.
It's got a. It's not great.
General Aviation engines.
It's also got a bubble canopy, but also doors on the said bubble canopy, so it doesn't even open the cool way.
So it's like a P.
Yeah, like the airport.
P-37.
Yeah. Or what, I think it was 39.
P-39, yeah.
It's like a P-39, except without any engine power, no weapons, no bombs, no rockets or anything like that, no guns, no giant cannon in the middle. Oh, and you also just don't get anything at all besides like steam gauges, or in the case of this, some people have decided to put glass avionics in, apparently.
I'd like to point out that the image you have here, there's explicitly a thing. See, you can see my cursor here. There's a specifically notice above the vent that says aerobatic maneuvers prohibited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would just there's no way the plane would survive it.
Just dissolve.
Maybe a spin at most. This was like, I'm just shocked that like 2,400 of these were built and people bought them.
You might know this, Joe. Are there any high quality modules for MSFS for a Mooney?
There might be one. Let me double check. I think there is.
For a what?
A Mooney.
I've never heard of that.
There is one from Coronado, which is $20. It should be good. Coronado kind of has slipped on their quality in recent years a little bit. But it is there's also a mod to put on top of it, which can give you the turbo engine as well.
I use the term flown loosely, as in I come from a family of aviators, and my grandfather had a Cessna 172 and a 152, and my uncle has a Mooney M20. So, insofar as planes that I have, in air quotes, flown, those are the two.
Yeah, I mean, those are nice. I mean, they're fast. They look cool. They have like that almost like forward swept vertical stabilizer, which is really, really cool. It's got enough seats for your friends. I think we got air brakes for slowing down.
And retractable gear.
And retractable gear, yeah. Like
retractable gear.
280 horsepower for cruise speed of 174 knots, which for a single engine, like 4 or 6 cylinder airplane, like that's great. Like that's fast. It's awesome.
That's only 10 more horsepower than my truck engine has, and that's 20 less if I got a premium tune.
Yeah, but can your truck fly?
No.
Well, it could maybe exactly once.
Yeah, once. This just highlights the issue of general aviation engines. They're so old.
And they still run on leaded gasoline.
Yeah, they're so old. They run on leaded gasoline.
There have been cases recently the FAA has studied where they'll check the IQs of children at schools near airports, like that have planes that have lots of GA planes and lots of leaded gas being put into the sky, and after they either shut down or switch away from letting gas leave, the intelligence of the kids rises.
Yeah. Can we just get new engines that run on car gas?
Oh, well, the FAA refuses to certify them, except for one. The ones that are used by Diamond.
Thanks,
Get
FAA.
Them diesel planes up in there.
Yeah, those are the diesel ones. Are the well, they've brought them on vegetable oil too, and I think used cooking oil ones, which is kind of cool. Like I mean, they're nice, but they're insanely expensive planes. All of the Diamond models. But the Mooney's nice, so it's also got a 1,350 nautical mile range. So it goes far. So you can go from like most of New England down to pretty much all of Florida on one tank of gas. Although it takes a while.
What more could you want?
Yeah.
Some Hellfire missiles.
Fair enough. All right.
Joe, you're handling the next one.
Yeah, I can do the next one. All right, let's flip that slide. CBW20 will add a new point system. Multiple other server performance improvements to be rolled out in 3 phases, which include a new logistics system that ties into X-Plane and Microsoft Flight Simulator, and something called DPTST4, which sounds very fancy and expensive, but I don't know what it is and what it does, but it will make the server run more better. Which is cool. There's a whole press release that Spaceman posted. It's great. It's got a lot of words. I'm not quite intelligent enough to understand them.
Yeah.
But you appreciate it.
Can we get this in dog speak next week?
Yeah, that's a little easier of a language for us than high-level English.
Jesus Christ.
It's a long press release.
Spit out my coffee or shit.
It's like a fucking dissertation.
If you're not, I immediately lost my train of thought.
If you're not,
Oh, if you're not spitting out your coffee on the talk show, is it really a good talk show?
Yeah, fair enough.
it's too late for coffee for me.
Oh, okay, he is translating it for us. Woof,
Woof 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 bark.
bark. Okay, all right.
Okay.
That makes a
Yeah,
lot more
that makes-
sense. Thank you.
Finally.
There we go.
All right. Then next up, this one actually is involving Airshow.
Oh my god.
There is a new Laserpig video out, and a local VTuber Airshow D made it a special appearance on the Laserpig video about stealth. The video is quite amusing, but in all honesty, it was a thinly veiled video about the F-111 Aardvark, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna pronounce that as an American. Deal with it.
Fuck.
I found
Plane's
it,
so cool, man. Plane's so cool.
yeah, I found it hilarious in the video because I clicked on it, and before he started, before even. It was like an hour and a half long video, and like half an hour in, I'd forgotten what the video title was. I only remembered that the picture, like the thumbnail of the video, was the F-117, and then he starts talking about the F-111 Aardvark, and I'm like, wait, I thought this was about the F-117, not the F-111. I've been duped.
He got
Man.
me too.
After the whole drama with the chieftain and all the rest of that, God, which who knows? There's a billion takes on that whole thing that happened. These videos just turn into such a hotbed for the most irritating takes you can possibly imagine about aviation and aircraft and content creation and all the rest of it. It's just such a pain.
This is why I don't read the comments.
You shouldn't. It's terrible.
I decided to torture myself and read the comments under
Oh, no.
Enigma's most recent video. The it's 2023 a good year for flight simulation.
Oh no.
Oh, that was brain dead. It's also the whole take of flight simulation is only DCS, BMS, and IL2. There's nothing else. It's just
I would like to point out that like this show is going to be a great example of how much is out there, and we're going to miss a lot still.
Yeah.
Enigma definitely has one of the presentation styles of all time.
Yes. It is all incredibly Jover, according to him.
Yeah, that man, I don't know. That man's in a dark place when it comes. I don't think he even likes airplanes.
Yeah, I swear every community I'm involved in, they say that, oh, the golden age of this community is over. And I think the only community that's true for, that I am involved in, is ham radio, because all of the old farts are kind of rude and annoying.
Or dead.
And even then, ham radio is starting to make a comeback with digital transmission modes. And the old farts don't like that.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, if you look at flight simulation, the way it's been going recently, especially, like, you can't just ignore that Microsoft, like the Microsoft and civilian side of things, has just been having banger year after Microsoft Flight Simulator came out. It's bigger than it's ever been. Batsim's traffic numbers are through the roof. Iveo's traffic numbers are through the roof. I forgot the name of the third option, but whatever that third option was that you have to pay for, even they're having an increase in traffic numbers. There's more developers than ever. In 2024, we're supposed to get like 4 or 5 big wide-body airliners. There's new things coming from every direction. They're probably gonna campus the whole Earth in the next 2 or 3 years in terms of like scenery for add-on airports. It's crazy. It's one of the biggest booms I've ever seen, and it's only probably going to bleed over into DCS and Falcon DMS in the military world too, because people will get curious and go try that out.
Yeah, and it certainly makes sense, because 10 years ago, when I would first try to get into, oh my god, it actually was 10 years ago, oh no, but 10 years ago when I'd actually try to get into flight sim stuff, I started with a Logitech 3D Pro, and that's all I had, and I looked, I want to upgrade to something a little bit better, and the only option is you pay like $300 for a complete HOTAS, and you've got like 3 options on the market, and half of them have like 50% bad reviews because their quality control is just so crap. But nowadays, there's so many options. You've got WinWing, Thrustmaster, the SciTech is still sold under Logitech, and they've got like 3 different versions. And there's just so many manufacturers of parts or peripherals, and quite a huge range in cost as well.
Yeah, it's so many. I mean, you can mix and match too. There's nobody stopping you doing that. I've got a Thrustmaster Airbus for a throttle, and then I've got this VKV monster stick that allows me to actually manipulate the weapons in DCS, while allowing me to have enough feel still when I'm flying civilian stuff that it's like not an issue. It's great.
I really wish Microsoft would bring back Combat Flight Simulator. I would pog my hole inside out.
They're up to something in 2024 with their new flight simulator thing they're doing. Their trailer has like A-10s flying through canyons and like an Airbus A400M. So who knows where they're going with that.
It'll be interesting to see what Microsoft does do, because I know they've really tried to distance themselves in Flight Simulator with the rules of no visible weapons on anything.
Third-party add-ons can have the weapons, like the Eagler Tomcat, for example, does have the option for weapons to look at. They won't shoot, but they're adding like a bunch in. They're adding like search and rescue flying. They're adding in aerial firefighting and like a career mode to the simulator as well. Which I think is a really interesting idea.
I can't wait to log in and spend my time crop dusting.
Yeah, I think they're actually adding crop dusting as well.
They said they were adding crop dusting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna crop dust with the crappiest plane I can until I get enough money to buy an air tractor.
Yeah. Hey, it'll be fun to see how that whole thing shakes out. And the nice part is they already confirmed that anything that works in Microsoft Flight Simulator right now for an add-on will work in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, which is great news. They have guaranteed forwards compatibility on your add-ons. So you don't have to buy anything over again. It'll just plug and play. Yes, if I remember, they said that you do get to keep everything.
So yeah, you get to keep all the planes that you get with the base 2020 or the deluxe and whatnot.
Yeah, I think so. If I remember right, they said yes, those will transfer over. They're not so much sending you something. They're building on top of what they already have in their engine. Apparently, they're doing like a refresh on the scenery systems and stuff as well, and some of the underlying things to improve that. But like everything that's content-wise should move over with no problem.
Okay, that's nice. But when can it integrate with Farm Simulator so I can crop dust airshows fields?
Maybe. With how much like add-on development's gone and the huge revolution of like open source stuff from Microsoft Flight Simulator, anything can happen, I think. I think we should move to the Flesh World, I think, next.
Yes, the real aluminum world, the Flesh world. All right. The first story I have here is that the Alaska Airlines 737 MAX 9 door plug incident has renewed debates about the US's short requirement of only 2-hour-long cockpit voice recorder recording. This is due to the fact that after the incident happened, the circuit breaker for the cockpit voice recorder was not pulled until over 2 hours after the incident occurred, meaning that all valuable audio data was overwritten. In Europe, the CVR requirements are 25 hours for all planes built after 2021, and it is expected that the NTSB might start requiring something similar. However, it likely will not be a retroactive requirement for existing planes, only new built planes.
That sounds like an incredibly stupid idea, considering almost all of our planes are 20 to 30 years old.
Yeah, and it's a little interesting because I know for minor incidents like this, having the flight data recorder overwritten tends to not be as much of a problem because a lot of the more modern planes still basically record it in less hard media. But I don't think they record any voice in that, so it makes it a little harder to know exactly what happened.
It seems just like one of those typical FAA, NTSB, Boeing blunders. They have a tendency to do this.
We'll hope that they can come up with something.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
I imagine 25 hours would be pretty easy to do with modern storage tech.
Yeah. Probably do a few hundred hours in a box that big.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, solid state media. What G requirement doesn't need to survive on impact? I'm pretty sure even a fair number of off the shelf commercial drives will survive that if you put a casing on them proper.
Or even like just an M2 with a good case on it, you could probably chuck that at pretty much anything and it'll survive.
Yeah, there's no moving parts versus these are still running tape as far as I know.
Oh my god. How? How are we doing? It's 2023. Sorry, 2024.
But tape is cheap.
Yes.
And speaking of Boeing blunders, we have this beautiful image of a 737 door plug. I don't know exactly what part this is. I couldn't correlate it with the diagram that I've seen, But this is supposedly from a United Airlines aircraft. They found loose bolts on some of their 737-900 door plugs. This you can see the loose fasteners here and here. It demonstrates that it might just not have been improperly torqued fasteners. It's likely that they were not safety wired or pinned, as we can see on this fastener here in the foreground.
Wait, on a 900, not a Max 9?
Or a Max 9, sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm like, oh gosh, this might be an even bigger problem than before if it's on the NG as well, not just the Max. That's Boeing. What's going on over there, buddy? Like,
Every time I see something like this, I'm like, I have friends who are aircraft maintainers, and apparently it's the worst job in the world. And every time something like this happens, I'm like, oh, it's going to get even worse now. You have to fill out so many forms.
Yeah, it depends. As far as it seems right now, this component is supplied by Spirit, which I think last week we mentioned I had a friend, or have a friend, who used to work at Spirit, and oh boy, was it a shit show. Or he didn't work at Spirit, he worked for a subcontractor doing some work for Spirit. And yeah, they said everything with Spirit was a shit show.
Yeah, I wouldn't be terribly surprised. I think maybe in this case, Spirit Airlines maybe less of a mess than Spirit interiors and Spirit components. Like, it's, which would be impressive, to be honest. But Spirit Airlines is also smart enough to use Airbus products, so it is what it is.
They should make cockpit voice recorders out of the phones that survived the fall.
Yeah, we have an additional note here that not one, but 2 phones were found on the ground belonging to the passengers of the flight after having fallen around 16,000 feet.
I reckon I could have survived that fall.
Yeah, you're a plane.
Yeah, you're a plane. You just recover.
You just
glide. Yeah. Come on.
Spin recovery.
Yeah.
And
easy mode for you.
I've been avoiding chat a little bit, but this one's on topic with something else I was going to joke about. Eaxon mentions that the media is now reporting on every incident about that model. Well, I saw a big news story about an Airbus 320 or 319 had to make an emergency landing after a door light came on. Why does this make the news? I don't know, because it's completely unrelated to this 737 MAX door issue, but the media now reports random stupid things like this.
Mika, we're going to lose our Airbus sponsorship if this continues.
Hey, I'm making fun of the media for reporting on a non-issue.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is our Airbus propaganda here.
Yeah. Airbus, keep sending us more money, please. Thank you. We appreciate it.
My hot take in this whole situation is that they should build airplanes where the doors stay on.
Warning.
I'll just say that the door falling off is not very typical.
Well,
Chance in a million.
Normally it's the front falls off, but
yeah.
Oh, rigorous aviation maintenance standards.
Yeah.
No cardboard derivatives.
This is like the perfect application of that. Oh my god, I love it.
I hope they somebody remakes that, but instead of the front fell off, it's just the door fell off with the
air show. We should record that.
Oh, that'd be good.
Well, most aircraft are built so that the doors don't come off at all.
And how do they ensure that?
Oh,
They tighten the bolts.
was that done in this instance?
No.
Well, clearly not. The door came off.
Exit demands that you two record
Do it.
this.
Oh god.
And then do it like the full thing. That'd be amazing. Engines fail on a plane. Will the plane drop like a rock? Oh. Hey, Airshow, you're a plane. Can you answer that?
Don't know. Probably. Depends on if the door's still on.
Okay.
All right. Next story I've got. We're moving a bit into space for a second. Actually, wait, no, these are just aligned wrong.
Oops.
Oops, that's my bad.
Slide order.
Also, related to the 737, the FAA has approved head-mounted displays for the 737 planes. This allows various flight information to be displayed regardless of where the pilot is looking. This makes it so that the 737 now has gotten a head-mounted display before the F-22 Raptor. So who do you think would win in a fight?
Very, very common F-22 Raptor L.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the ECM package on the 737? And is it one of the
It's
ALL
probably
ones,
better,
like-
to be honest.
Some of
ELL ones
the
have
FedEx
flares
ones
and
probably
chaff.
have good.
I reckon if everyone in the cabin, like all 300 people, turn on their phones at the same time, it's probably better.
Yeah. The Israeli ELL Airlines ones, all their planes get like the same flare chaff package as the C-130. So that I think, if I remember right, if they deploy flares, it does like a full Angel of Death thing behind their airliner.
Oh, geez.
Mad lads over there. They're supposed to get lasers now too to just intercept missiles instead.
My
Hey
God.
man, it's called the Iron Beam. That's so badass.
Yeah.
I love the images that were going around of the Iron Beam with it having a giant visible laser. Like, guys, that's not how it works.
They should make it like that so it looks cool.
But then you'd have to just strap like a general laser pointer to it.
Yeah, they
'Cause
can
it's-
afford that.
Okay.
Make sure every one of them comes with its own fog machine.
Ooh, yeah. They should do what my campsite does at Races Every Year, where we also bring like a nice big, like, what do you call it? Oh, a bubble machine. We have a bubble machine, so it makes cool bubbles whenever we turn it on. I think they should have that too.
It'd be pretty useful.
Get on it. Get on it, MID.
Uh-huh.
No point in having lasers if they're lame.
You gotta have the coolest lasers.
Yeah. Philozor says, ladies and gentlemen, if you look out to the right side of the aircraft, you'll see a bitch who's looking to merge. Fasten your seatbelts. The fasten seatbelt sign is on and fight's on.
That was Joe and I last time we played Microsoft Flight Sim.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Growling Sidewinder has already made this video.
The air show, the Ace Combat FedEx thing yet.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, that's what they have right now. I think it was like, I don't even know which futuristic plane they did from that game. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, Mika, they swapped out the model of that airplane with a Douglas DC-10.
Oh,
So
God.
they really mean Death Cruiser now, considering how many things that plane killed in those videos. Oh, then they did the tunnel run with it as well.
Oh, no.
And you see it like clipping the wings the entire way down the tunnel.
Just scraping off the wingtips, not
Yeah.
important. You don't need those.
Not important at all.
Well, that's what the winglets are for, to bounce off the walls.
Yeah, it's a wear item.
Derp asks, would a weaponized 747 have a multi-missile launch capability? I don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows what that weather radar can actually do if you take the safety filters off or whatever they have on it to stop you from shooting at other planes.
Ooh, let me lock up other planes.
You know, next time there's like a big like merger thing going where like Frontier was trying to buy JetBlue. Sorry, Frontier was trying to buy Spirit, and so was JetBlue trying to buy Spirit. Next time something like that goes down, they're just gonna be like firing AIM-260s at each other, the airliners, and they're gonna be dogfighting and shit, and all kinds of crazy engagements in order to increase their chance of winning a merger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly what'll happen. Coming to you, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2028.
All right. Next up, we have a dip into space, or an ascent into space, however you want to say it. This past week, NASA has finally managed to access the OSIRIS-REx container after being victimized once. After becoming another victim of torque set fasteners, NASA spent 4 months designing a tool to properly remove the hardware without risking contamination of the samples which OSIRIS-REx brought back from the asteroid Bennu. Osiris Rex is the first mission to have visited an asteroid and returned. It brought back with it samples for scientific study in this container. So the trouble they had here is that, sure, you could use like an extractor bit to pull these bolts out, but that would throw little bits of metal everywhere that would contaminate it. What I don't get is why they didn't just use like a Torx bit or a hex, just a standard hex nut.
I think that would have made too much sense. It's not expensive enough.
Yeah, these Torx set fasteners, from what I understand, are notorious for not coming out once you put them in.
Interesting. So, I guess they have their asteroid pieces now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they learn from that. Fucking NASA engineers. I know, right? To just not tighten the bolts, and they would have just fallen off like a certain door. Yep, everything back to Boeing.
Asteroid dust. Don't breathe this.
Yeah, don't breathe this. I like this crazy, absurd tool he's got undoing this bolt in this picture. Like, what the heck is this?
It'd be so stressful.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if you build it?
You just open up the lid and like there's asteroid dust in there and you just sneeze mega hard.
Oh, well, there's a container, or it's in like one of those arm chamber thingies, so you can't sneeze on it and contaminate it.
But you can tip it over by accident.
I think it's pretty securely fastened in this picture.
For now. Us will do anything not to use a Robertson screw.
Robertson, Torx, just please, anything but Phillips or Torx set or any of that goofy crap.
Yeah. I use a
Go ahead.
flathead screwdriver to adjust the friction on my Phillips screw for my throttle.
Why?
Because it fits perfectly somehow. In the...
I don't know who Phillips is, but I'm gonna go dig up his grave and piss on it.
Yeah, we're dogs. We can kind of do that in places, but also fire hydrants.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Those fire hydrants belong to us, not the firefighters. I don't know why they keep coming by and like using them. I don't like that. Them and the fucking mailman, dude. That guy's annoying.
I don't think our guest understands what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna let you guys dog role play for as long as you like.
Well, sure has like missiles and stuff. The mailman comes to his house, like it's so he can just like stop that. But we can't do that. Like, yeah. Specifically, the shark stops me from doing it, and I'm like, no, you can't like go attack the person that brings the mail. I disagree with that sentiment. I think I should be allowed to. But
It's a free country, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. I thought this was America, where I can attack postal employees with impunity for coming onto my property. Like, I think that is something I should be able to do as a dog-human hybrid. I think you would agree with me, especially if that new fancy black powder rifle you have, you could just send like an inch-wide musket ball through the mailman.
I'd rather not.
But
I prefer to just bark at them.
Ah, okay. You don't want
So-
to attack them.
I want
you
to.
don't wanna attack them
See,
temporarily.
I'm enough of a man that I can use my words.
Or a musket.
You see, you know how Russia sends like Tu-95s around like the north of the UK and Scandinavia now, just to see if they're paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the mailman is the government trying to do that to you. Like, you have to respond just to let them know that like you're paying attention.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think like in my crazy, insane Rio/Lizzo brain, where I think it's acceptable to just bomb or shoot missiles at anything, we should fire a missile at said like metaphorically Tu-95 thing. Make sure they don't do that again, and don't come anywhere near my property for that matter. Surely you could agree with me.
No.
Oh. Okay.
I feel a distinct kinship with the mailman, seeing as we are both in the same industry.
Ah.
Because, of course, as a film editor and as a mailman, we both work in post-production.
Air show with his classic
I
jokes.
didn't know where you were going with that one. That was really good.
I thought he was gonna say he felt a kinship because he used to work for UPS at one point.
Yeah, or something like
How
that.
do you remember that?
Well, why don't you expect me to remember things that you've told me about your life?
I don't know.
I mean, it's like, you know, I remember when I'm told things. Like, we'll have a very interesting week next week when I have to try and remember which things I can and can't ask about on stream. But there's like, you know, it's Mika. Obviously, you've known Airshow for a lot longer than I have been in contact with them, so you must have learned many interesting things that we can ask about later.
Yeah.
After our final story.
Yeah, our final story. In another NASA news story, NASA announced this week they will be delaying the launch date of Artemis 2 and 3 missions to ensure crew safety. Artemis 2 will be the first crewed spacecraft. Artemis 2 will be the first crewed space flight of the Orion spacecraft, and the second ever flight of the spacecraft, according to NASA. Although I'm pretty sure it's the third. I'm not entirely certain on that.
They had that.
They had one many years ago.
To a Delta 4, yeah, a Delta 4 Heavy, right?
Yeah, so Wikipedia and NASA are saying this is the second ever of the spacecraft. I think it's the third. They might have some semantics there. I'm not sure. So take that as it is. It'll fly to the moon, fly around the moon, and return to Earth. And this might be a little bit of a spicy opinion here, but I'm a little worried about NASA's recent policies of safety and everything, because their Osiris-Rex had cross-wired parachutes that very narrowly missed causing a failure of the whole mission. They went to launch the drogue chute and they cut the drogue chute, and then they went to launch the main chute, and it was only through pure luck that the main chute was wired right and deployed correctly. And cross-wiring is a long-standing failure mode that NASA has a lot of time experiencing with all the way back to the Apollo program. I would expect cross-wiring to be something relatively easy to troubleshoot non-destructively. Like, you don't have to go build up your whole probe and then set off all of your parachutes and everything, but you could wire everything up, and then you can say, okay, I've got my multimeter to the terminal for the parachute deploy. Let's run program parachute deploy and see if that works, and you can check it if it's wired up right or not. But also, likewise, NASA is planning to launch humans on its SLS for the second ever launch of this vehicle, which is a little concerning as well. It does at least predominantly reuse known engines and solid rocket boosters, but the solid rocket boosters are modified from the space shuttle program. They are a bit different. They're mostly the same, though. I think they're just elongated.
So, as a certified Florida man TM that may or may not live relatively close to the launch site, somewhere within 50 miles probably, but I'm not going to say which city out loud because that's not a smart idea. This thing is absolutely nuts when it launches. It shakes the ground like the space shuttle used to, but even more, and is one of the loudest rockets I have ever heard, and one of the biggest ones I've ever seen go into space. You can see it all the way until it goes to the horizon at night, and it's so big that you can just straight up see the rocket. Normally with the Falcon 9s and stuff like that, you don't really get to see the rocket body itself. But this is so gigantic that you can just look into the sky, zoom in with your phone camera, and you can just see the SLS. It is absolutely massive.
Let me quickly pull in an image here. Okay. New slide, fine. Scuffed way of doing this, because a graphic is really important to see the scale of these things. So you've got just to the left of the Saturn V, you've got the Falcon 9, and then to the right of the Saturn V, you've got the SLS, and then to the right of that, you've got the Starship that might eventually work. And it's pretty crazy just how big SLS is.
Yeah, the height doesn't do it justice. It's the absolutely massive girth of the rocket as well.
Yeah, they're pretty big. And man, seeing the pictures of people like up next to the Falcon 9 boosters is always just so insane, because that's a huge rocket in its own right.
And on top of that, you can watch the boosters separate on the SLS as well. These are so huge. You can watch them fly off and spin like crazy before they crash down to Earth and shit. I don't think they're recoverable this time around. I don't think they installed the parachutes, which is, and then of course those 4 RS-25s that don't get saved from the first 2 missions, where they just drop them into the ocean to die. The next ones, eventually they're supposed to be recoverable, where they're gonna like chop the bottom of the first stage off and it'll parachute down. But man, that's a big waste of such good engines.
I liked the post Scott Manley made about those engines too, where Rocketdyne invented those engines way back when for the space shuttle, and they costed about $175 million each. And then they were able to update the design with modern CAD and manufacturing procedures to drop the cost down to $200 million each.
Yeah.
Just makes sense.
Yeah, which that's poking fun at it, but the true story is that with inflation, they're a little bit cheaper, but really not by much at all.
They're monster engines. They're just so cool. It's like Pratt & Whitney's like most nifty product, which of course they bought out. Or actually, no, I think they might have sold off Aerojet Rocketdyne by now. It's such just how it goes in the defense and space industry.
Mm-hmm.
I think literally just shuffle all of their various IPs and small companies around. I'm still a little butthurt that like Sikorsky got bought out by Lockheed Martin. They tried calling it Lockheed Martin helicopters until like almost everybody in Bridgeport would have started a riot over being called Lockheed Martin helicopters.
Come on, you got to keep Sikorsky. It's a famous name.
Of course, famous name. Yeah. Well, Lockmart doesn't seem to think so until they were forced to keep the Sikorsky name. Airbus, best contractor. They don't try to rename Sikorsky into things that it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Let's roll off the RTX. Thank you, Spaceman.
All right, are we ready to pummel Airshow with questions?
Absolutely.
All right.
Number 3.
Did we already ask this, or did it already come up? I thought it kind of came up. He explained why he became a content creator and a streamer.
I think we asked how, not why.
Well, we asked what kind of content, and then he went in and explained it all right.
Yeah.
Unless you want to answer it again, Airshow.
Oh, well. I don't know. What do you want to know?
Well, what pushed you to start? You explained that you started with YouTube videos. What pushed you to start with YouTube videos?
I don't know. I think it was I can't remember if it was before or after the start of the pandemic. But the pandemic started and I was furloughed from work. So I was just sitting at home, not really doing anything. Tarkov was kind of starting to kick off and there was viewership there. And I don't know, I had always kind of enjoyed and toyed with the idea of making some kind of online content, but I was never quite sure what I wanted to do. and I just kind of lent into fiddling around, seeing what works. And obviously, through my work as well, I work with video editing and that sort of thing. So it was kind of a way to keep my skills kind of sharp and just, remember how to do my job while I'm furloughed away from it.
Yeah, I see. It's I've not been too terribly surprised to find out that a decent number of VTubers have admitted to starting with YouTube videos at some point. And I myself have. The original channel I will take with me to my grave, but it did get one video with like 50,000 views, and I didn't follow up and captivate any of that.
Come to think of it, almost all of the VTubers I know started like that. Almost all of them, at least. Like the ones I know, like personally.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, the step happens when they, because a lot of the skills are associated with, to set up everything that you need to make YouTube videos is not dissimilar to setting up everything you need to stream. And when you make YouTube videos, like the excitement of feedback and response to the stuff that you make is quite addictive, I think, and quite exciting. And the logical step of taking that and then adding an element of immediacy of feedback towards your content is, I don't know, it's quite appealing, I think.
That makes sense. I would agree with that.
So what are your goals as a content creator?
I don't have much specifically, because I know a lot of people will answer this question with the desire to go full-time. I think that I would struggle to make a career out of this. And I don't think that I would ever reach the level of success to be able to make enough money to support myself and, get a house or anything like that. So it's definitely not to become full-time self-sufficient off of it. But at the same time, it's kind of fun just to see where it goes, how far it goes, and growth for growth's sake, I guess. Because the more people you reach, the more of an audience you gain, the more interaction you get with people, and the more kind of excitement that comes out of that. I think for me personally, the rewarding part for content creation isn't financial. It's entertaining people that I have always really enjoyed, because I've always, for my whole life since I was I don't know, 10, 11 or something, I've always worked in or engaged with entertainment in some way, either doing theatre or stand-up comedy and stuff like that. Really just out of enjoyment of entertaining people. And to that end, I think that my main goal is really just to entertain as many people as possible, and tangibly. With that being said, in terms of solid goals, I think, because it's always nice to have something to aspire towards and work towards, and for me personally, I'd really like to see if I can push towards getting Twitch partner this year. I'm not entirely sure if it will be possible, but it would be fun to try. And then after that, or alternative to that, depending on how things go, then I think we'll see how it happens. But to be honest, if things just stay the way they're going, I'll be fine.
All right.
Well, I hope you hit your goals, and I hope you get a partner and you make that partner push and go even further than that.
Well,
Now-
to put it this way, I have a distinct knowledge of the fact that if I wanted to grow more than I have, then it would probably be a good idea to diversify my content away from just bumming around playing DCS all the time. The thing is that I don't want to do that. I want to stream Aeroplane game, and I will do that at the expense of potential success, just because that's what I would rather do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think at that point it comes down to having fun being much more important than just straight up growth. I think that's
In
the
fact,
important factor.
Yeah, in fact, I think I would agree with that exactly. My main goal is to have fun, and I will seek that whichever way it comes.
I definitely think part of the struggle there comes from as well that on top of just getting seen, you have to convince people that they want to watch this content, because the content is like the flight sim streams are interesting, but there's a lot of preconceived notions that they're not. So you have to kind of make your own audience, or grow the flight sim audience in general.
Yeah, and at the same time, like if you just like, when it comes to streaming, if you just wanted to play a flight simulator, then you wouldn't press the go live button. When you're pressing the go live button, you're making a conscious choice that not only do you want to play your game, you want to do it as a service to others, and you have to think about what you're providing there, and whether it be humor, whether it be knowledge, whether it be something, you just have to think that if you're putting yourself out there in the public space, you're not just playing a game for your own enjoyment. You are making a conscious choice to engage with and provide something for other people as well. And thinking about what that is, I think, is key to the whole process.
It definitely is.
Very
And
insightful.
And on the topic of the difficulties of being a content creator, I have to ask you, Airshow, is life difficult being a sentient Su-27?
No, not at all. I wheel myself in and out of my hangar all day. They got me a desk at work that, like, kind of comes up to my chin, and I look down on it. And just the hardest part is the commute to work, I think, because you can't fly there. I have to drive, so it takes a toll on the old landing gear. But get there in the end.
I imagine rent for your hangar must be pretty expensive.
Yeah. I mean, I have the added benefit of being difficult to move. So I think they just let me stick around here out of convenience, because, if they moved me away from here, they'd have to put me somewhere else. And I don't think there is anywhere else. So I think they it's the lesser of several evils from their perspective.
You also have missiles, which are probably
Yeah.
ground crews are trying to move to.
Yeah, they're mostly for show.
And they're
And
demilitarized.
They're demilitarized,
All right.
and the ones on my wingtips aren't R-73s like they're supposed to be, which everyone points out to me all the time.
All right.
In
Then,
all sincerity, though, there is an interesting element, circling back to the whole making conscious decisions at the detriment of your own success. I think there is a certain element of my success that comes from being kind of wacky and weird. I'm an airplane, blah, 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 blah. Like, there is a certain degree of inherent promotion that comes out of just being such an absurd concept. But at the same time, there's a trade-off that comes from not being traditionally humanoid, where, like, people won't draw you, like 2D artists and riggers won't work with your model just because they don't know how, and it would be a massive inconvenience for them, because everyone else is a person and they want you to develop your skill sets towards making people move, and someone comes along and it's like, I want to be an object, and they're like, they're just not going to bother, because where's the incentive? So the trade-off is weird, and people will get commissioned big art pieces where it's like them and their buddies all sitting around. It's like, how are you gonna incorporate a plane into that?
And all your friends sitting on the wings of the plane or standing in front of it, like a typical pilot photo from World War II.
One of the ones I was thinking of getting a Mahjong related art piece, and my brain is just thinking, how do I fit airshow in here in a way that'll work, and also maybe be kind of funny? And one of the ideas is I was thinking if it's just like a bunch of like humans sitting at three humans at the Mahjong table, and then just a giant Su-27, I guess Su-27 in the background, like it's also at the Mahjong table.
I think
like,
I think one of the funniest direct examples of the difficulty that is faced by presenting in this way is like, I couldn't even get an AI art generator to make art of me if I tried. Like,
yeah,
AI generated art with enough convincing. If you have a humanoid VTuber model, you can make something that looks like you eventually, with enough fiddling around. I cannot, like, it short circuits the AI. It's such a foreign concept to the pool of art that they have stolen that that it just cannot form something that looks correct, and that is kind of a microcosm of what it's like trying to get artists to work with you, in that there's just such little pool for that sort of thing.
you think you can find writers, modelers, and artists that like the idea of working with you, as it would be more of a challenge than what they're used to?
Yes, but at the same time, I respect the time and skill of those people, and if they were to put in a monster effort to learn how to do something new, I would have to pay them adequately for that additional effort, and it very quickly turns the prospect of developing an airshow 2.0 into a really, really expensive exercise. And I don't make a huge amount of money from streaming, if at all. I don't push any degree of monetization in my streams or anything like that. I also work in the film industry, and the film industry is not exactly the best paying gig in the world. So when it comes to developing in that sense, it's an uphill battle that will come in time. But at the same time, I also don't think that worrying too much about your model and the quality of your model has that much of a tangible bearing on your ability to stream, if that makes sense. Like, I think that back in the day, VTubing was such a new and unique and niche thing that you could make a name for yourself within VTubing just by having a really well-rigged or cool-looking model. But I think it's well past that point now, and your success depends on the merit of your capacity to entertain. And I think that's detached from the quality of your model. So long as your model is enough to express, then you do with it what you will. And in fact, when I always think of FuWan when it comes to that sort of thing, like, the VTuber FuWan, her model, up until very recently, I think, was like a $5 thing that she bought from Booth. Was not fancy or formal or anything like that, and she went on to become one of the biggest VTubers there is. And that's where the tangent has gone in my head.
Yeah.
You got like Neurosama as well. I mean, she, that was literally the default model for VTube Studio or Live 2D for the longest time, until Annie did the 2.0 refresh on her, and like that was like, I think probably the biggest like EN VTuber I've seen. I mean, I see that person. Yeah, I see the Beatles channel pull in 10,000 CCV plus on a regular. That's crazy. They can do that with the default model.
Yeah, and it's important to remember as well that there are successful streamers who just have gameplay and they talk, and they don't have any representation of themselves. So I think there's a certain false dichotomy about the need to invest to succeed, but at the same time, you can invest cleverly into the things that you do to spread your awareness out there.
Yeah, I think people tend to conflate the idea that like a fantastic model gets you noticed with just the fact that setting yourself apart gets you noticed. So bringing this into what Questia mentions, that PNG tubers have a better shot these days. I would say definitely, especially if you're going to be a PNG tuber that's something completely off the wall, like, you know, maybe Airshow's Su-27 or another plane. Because when people scroll through the Twitch feeds of things and they see something that's just so completely different than something else, that's going to get people in. And then if you can keep those people in, then you're pretty good. So
yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, so you don't necessarily need like a super fancy, good motion looking model. A lot of PNG tubers do fantastic with just a model that looks, or just an image that looks pretty different, and being charismatic and able to keep their audience.
Yeah, I think like you see a lot of that. I mean, even at least speaking to my boss, the horsewoman, she. I mean, like when she first started, I think she was the only VTuber with that kind of theming. Like there were no other horse girls out there. She was like the horse girl, and that was like something that she was able to use very well, combining it for other themes to make a strong channel out of it. And I'm glad, because that keeps me in a job and building experience. And I think like you can just by being unique and doing things that are different from others or serving like unfilled markets, you can definitely go pretty far. I mean, if I look at the Microsoft Flight Simulator category, I have not once seen, except for when Nyara does one of her Microsoft Flight Simulator streams every once in a long while, like on a day-to-day basis, there's no other PNG or VTubers out there. Like the category is completely devoid of it. It's all 50 to 60-year-old dudes, and that's it.
Yeah, that's another thing that you can really do to set you apart, because like even it. Regardless of how good your stream looks, quote unquote good, because there's no objectively good or bad, but regardless of what people think of how your stream looks, if you're streaming something really niche, and this is how I got my start as well. I started with like IL-2 Stormovik, Great Battles, Homeworld Deserts of Karak, Supreme Commander 2, all these niche games that have a pretty hardcore following, because you get people in that way.
It's true, and it works. No one, the streaming community is not crying out for another person to quietly play Valorant.
Nope, not at all. But if that's what you want to do, do it.
Yeah, just find some way to make Valorant interesting to watch.
Or it's like let me preface this with I'm not saying art streams are like Valorant or hard to set yourself apart in, but one of my friends, Magical Prince John, or maybe it's a bit presumptuous to say friend, but one of the other streamers I know, Magical Prince John, he did an art stream and he set himself apart by putting a glass of water on the edge of his desk, like half off the desk. And that made it, instead of just like a cozy art stream, it was a horrifyingly stressful art stream. Because you're just watching this cup of water, and he said it's above his PC too.
It's absolutely
You see, that's
wild.
content.
Yeah, that's content. And my God, was it stressful.
There was a streamer, he's not active anymore now that he got back to work, but during the pandemic he was either first officer or captain for United, and he during the pandemic, of course, he couldn't work, so he started streaming, and he had always been a controller on the VATSIM network for civilian side of flight simulation. And while he was a flesh tuber, he also had a second camera up that pointed at a cat tower in his room, so that you could look at his cats playing on the cat tower in addition to what he was actually streaming, which I thought was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was fun. And then you could see sometimes the cat would jump from the tower to the desk, and you see it go from one camera window to the other, which is pretty nifty. Of course, they're also, cats and all that, but, me and Vega can talk on that subject another day.
Yeah. And following this theme of new and inventive stream ideas to set yourself apart, Airshow, how the heck did you get this idea to be a plane?
It's a good question. I think the thought process was that I needed a Fugi. I needed a Fugi for something, and I didn't know what to do. So I just used a transparent PNG of an aeroplane because I liked them. And then someone added eyes and a mouth to the aeroplane as a joke, and I was like, that's really funny. And then I started streaming, and when I originally streamed, what I would do was I couldn't figure out how PNG tubing worked, so I would join a channel in my own Discord and put my Fugi reactive image on the screen, and I would just be playing with eyes and a mouth that would light up whenever I spoke. And I'd stream myself playing Escape from Tarkov and Hunt Showdown, and then eventually I thought, well, why not make this nicer? So I got the mechanic to draw over the picture of the aeroplane, and then put eyes and a mouth on it. And then I just took that and found a Live 2D rigger who's now quite prolific and working with some good people. But at the time, they had not taken commissions for anything. I think they were in like high school or something like that. And I was just like, hey, I've got this. Can you make it so the eyes and mouth track? And so the original version of the model didn't rotate or twist at all. It was just that the eyes and mouth tracked when my eyes and mouth. And then there was a bit of wiggling and stuff that was put on it. And yeah, it all just kind of fell into place. And I thought that the idea of it was so funny that that it would be a missed opportunity not to, because I couldn't think of anything ordinary that I wanted to be.
So you're not supposed to sit in a Discord channel alone to make your reactive work? This is like the first I've ever heard of this. This is what I do.
Yeah, so I've played around with this, and I actually used this yesterday with the DCS stream. But a lot of PNG tubers will just pop into their Discord, pop into a private Discord, and use that with Fugi Tech, and that works great. It's very simple. You don't have to install anything. But if you want to turn it up just a notch, if you can get a talking and like a mouth open, mouth closed, then mouth open, eyes closed, mouth closed, eyes closed image, you can use a program called Vtuber, which is what I use, and that will add just random blinking, and you can change how much it's going to shake your avatar, and it just turns it up a little bit of a notch. Highly recommend if you can get those art pieces. Highly recommend to VTubers who and just take those images from their VTube studio, and you want to save a little bit of CPU use, GPU use for high difficulty games. Questia, another famous PNG tuber, says she uses it as well.
I think I'm gonna keep holding off, and I've decided my plan was I'll stick with what I've got for now, and then just chuck everything into saving up alongside my manager for Jover in 2D. and then just throw it with like an insane budget at that of whatever I can save up for it, because I don't want to like, I don't know. I thought it was better to just use use it for a live 2D model down the line and just save up for it instead of going and getting multiple PNG art pieces. I'm happy with the PNGs I have. I like the work that Glenn did on this, and like I like it. Like, it's really solid. I'm glad he's working on my reference design right now, and it looks great. I love the work he did on it, and I think it looks awesome. So I'm excited to share that with you guys when it's done. But it's gonna need a bit more time for him to keep doing his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I should talk about it on stream at least, but I have figured out a few people to go to for. Thankfully, my manager has figured out a few people to work with for the live 2D model and rigging. Along, of course, having Glenn around for, I believe, the art part, and then a backup option if that person doesn't want to take on that project. So I'm very excited to hopefully, maybe in another probably quarter or two, begin to become dimensional.
All right. And moving on to the next question for Air Show. I already know the answer to this, but we'll ask it for the crowd. Air Show, what is your favorite airplane?
Whenever anyone asks me that question, I always ask of what era, because I struggle to think of like just one.
If you want to do one from World War II, one from like roughly Cold War, and then one from modern era, that would also be fun.
Okay, so I think my favorite of World War II would probably be the BF-109E series, before it had the pointy weird little nose. Yeah, I always loved it back when they still had like the boxy engines. In the Cold War, it would have to be a toss-up between the MiG-21 or, in fact, it would be the MiG-21. And then for modern era, probably the F-35.
Yeah, I know you're really after that F-35 tummy, aren't you?
Yeah, F-35 belly erotic. Ooh.
It does have a fantastic looking underbelly. Oh my god,
it's just such a cool plane. Such a cool plane.
It is such a cool plane.
I just built 1,000 of them.
Well, they did, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's even more to come.
I was gonna include that as a story in this, but I couldn't find a Lockheed Martin image to use for it.
That's why you just do a little steal. Like, are they really going to notice that one image out of the entire PowerPoint isn't authorized? Well, actually, if Lockheed Martin, out of all the people that would notice, it's probably not.
Yeah.
We can steal from United Airlines or whatever, but not Lockheed Martin.
But along the lines of that last question, the next question: what's your least favorite airplane?
Oh.
It doesn't have to be one that's like actually bad. It can just be one that you have an irrational hatred for.
Yeah, no, there are so many.
Do you want to do one from each era again?
Yeah. I think in World War II, it has to be the Yak. Because, I don't know, the Yak series, it's just like such a non-event. There's nothing remarkable about that. Those planes, they're weird looking, they're lame.
It is so true.
Literally and plain.
It's just like, and they're okay, but I don't know. In the Cold War, I think it would probably have to be... Probably have to be the Vigan. I don't know, it's just looks weird.
Funny Swede jet.
The association of like whenever you bring up the vegan, the vegan fans crawl out of the woodwork and they're like, "Oh, vegan's best. Vegan's perfect for everything. Vegan's amazing, aren't it?" There are people who will insist that like you'll be doing like a 2010 scenario, and it's like, "Oh, we need to do like a anti-shipping strike against." People will claim that the vegan can do anything in any era, and it's the best plane for the job, no matter what. And I think it's a little bit overrated.
Do you have Hex in the chat?
He might
Hex
be
Hex is gonna
lurking.
kick my head in.
I
They brought this upon themselves, though.
Yeah, I started learning the vegan, and like pretty much immediately I realized that this is only good at like 2 specific things, and it's designed to be very good at those 2 specific things.
Yeah, unfortunately, Heatblur did not give us the air-to-air versions of the vegan. It would be really cool if they did the vegan D, which could just do anything and have its air-to-ground and air-to-air capability, but no.
Nope, not allowed. And then
And those kind of mechanical computers and stuff like that, it's just I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like interacting with them. I don't like programming them. I don't like working within that whole setup.
Learning Swedish for it wasn't very fun either. That was not helpful.
it's
It was
just
like not even like conversational Swedish. It's just like, what the hell does that button do again?
it's just poorly spelled English.
Kinda, yeah. There was like the V&D. I think actually has MFDs, and I think they replaced it with a digital computer, like a full digital computer, rather than the thing, which would be great. But like, yeah.
And of the modern era, I think my least favorite jet is probably either the Rafale or the J20.
Whoa, interesting.
Good picks. Good picks.
The Rafale, I just don't like the way it looks. I think it looks goofy. I think, because I like utilitarian aircraft design, and I really like the way the Eurofighter's Typhoon's intake is just like a box. And, but the Rafale, it just kind of looks a bit artsy, curvy, fish-like weirdness.
Very French.
And the J20, I think, looks really stupid. I don't know what it is about the J20, but I just think it looks really, really dumb. It's like, it looks like a plane that got run over, and now it's this weird little pancake thing.
It looks like a bad movie prop.
It looks kind of like like a Lego plane almost. That's what I think of when I see it. Like somebody at Lego made like a plane, and this is like our cool Lego fighter jet.
It looks like a parody or something.
Yeah. So do you have a civilian aircraft that you would dislike as well?
Let's see. In terms of civilian aircraft, I think they're all once it gets into like the modern 737s, I don't even know the designations. Just the stock standard 2-engine modern airliners. I can't tell them apart. I don't know anything about them. That people will be like, "Oh, look, it's a Boeing 3477," and I'm just like, "Oh, okay." And they're like, "Oh, check that out. It's an Airbus Watchamafic," and I'm just like, "It's exactly the same to me, but that's cool." So all of that, I don't get too into. But in terms of civil aviation aircraft, I don't like the way that Cirrus aircraft look.
I've just seen a Reddit thread about that.
Dude, Cirrus pilots are the fucking worst too. I hate them. Like
Just
every
pull the funny handle.
They're all, except for Scott Manley, they're all assholes. They like will cut you off in the pattern. They don't make radio calls at uncontrolled fields. They just fly like general dickheads with more money than sense until inevitably they die. And the parachute unfortunately saves them. Sorry, actually they don't die. The parachute saves them is the problem. They would just eliminate themselves from the flying public and pool very quickly if it weren't for that parachute. Because of course they're too stupid to design a plane with a big enough vertical stabilizer to pull you out of a spin. Sarge, I think you can attest to how awful Zero's pilots are to deal with in real life. They're just, hate them. I agree. Fuck Zeros.
I just think they're kind of funny looking. My favorite civil aircraft would probably be something like a Cessna 152, just because they're so funny. And in terms of airliners, probably just your run-of-the-mill 747.
Yeah, those are pretty cool. Did you know they made an aerobatics version of the Cessna 152?
Mm-hmm. And isn't it literally just called the Aerobat?
It's called the Aerobat. It is like the coolest thing I have like seen in a while. I think it flipped to like 6 Gs or something ridiculous like that. Which like the turning circle, I imagine like the low speed of a Cessna 152 at like 6 Gs has to be like around somebody's backyard.
Is it rated for 6 Gs?
I believe so. I think that is the rating of it, but it can handle to like 8 or I think it's like 8 or 9 before it snaps.
Jesus.
I'm pretty sure to hit that many Gs in a 152, you have to be like crashing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think to pull that many Gs, you'd have to climb as high as you could go, max out the engine, point the nose straight down, and like 10 meters from the ground, you'd have to pull as hard as you can on the stick. And the cable ties holding the wing holding the wings on would probably be able to take the strain.
Yeah, I think like you could probably outturn like World War I biplanes in that thing.
Yeah. The only problem is that if you start hitting negative Gs, like all of the cigarette butts and empty cans start floating around in the cabin.
Oh, and your engine stops working too because all the fuel is always gravity fed in the Cessna.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, if your engine stops, you can just climb out and spin the prop by hand.
Or you can jump out with a parachute and then get into a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I always fly with the parachute.
Yeah. And Ace, I agree that the Dassault Falcons are really nice. I've been trying to like Dassault Falcon Pilvica for a little while.
Huh?
Just the 160. Oh, the Skycatcher. Oh, that thing's a plane of all time. It was like Cessna's like one only completely failed product that nobody bought. They tried to make a light sport aircraft, but it was way more expensive than all the other ones. And then it crashes constantly too because light sport pilot moment.
Well, speaking
I
of...
like the Caravan as well.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh yeah, the Caravan. So you and how many of your buddies can fly somewhere?
Oh, no, you just fill the back up with drugs.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Oh boy.
You know, there's an add-on for that for Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's called the Sky Park, and if you work with the faction called the Coyotes, you can just do drug running all the time, or organ trafficking, or I think one of my favorite was like counterfeit watches, transporting like a few thousand pounds of those, and that's a lot of fun for an add-on to play. And they give you a Spotify playlist for when you're working with them of like all like Mexican narco music to use. And like mariachi stuff and all that. It's great. They just took the whole both scenes of the Narcos, they took both soundtracks, plus threw a lot of other just random Latin music in there, their Latin American music in there, and it's amazing for when you're doing pretend drug smuggling.
Well,
what more could you want?
While we're on this topic of sketchy flight sim scenarios, Airshow, what are your favorite kind of flight sim scenarios?
I like PvP. I like PvP with restrictions. So like, you don't get the best stuff that any airplane gets. So if you're flying a something like an F-18, you only have Sparrows. If you're flying like a MiG-21, you don't get R-60Ms. I like it when people have to deal with the stuff that isn't the best. So yeah, PvP in limited scenarios that doesn't involve too much commuting.
No commuting. How about good weather or bad weather?
I prefer good weather with some cloud, so that there's a cloud layer that you can interact with that's typically interrupted. That kind of separates the fight into distinct zones of high and low altitudes. Yeah. I would admit that IFR is not one of my strengths, mainly because I don't enjoy learning how to do it. So I have always kind of resented having to, like, if there's fog and cloud at like sea level, I always get kind of annoyed by that.
Just look harder.
Just fly the vegan. You won't have any problem with that.
Oh, I'd rather not.
It certainly doesn't help in DCS that the ILS system sometimes just does not work.
Yeah, the whole, like, at least for the Microsoft side, that makes being able to do that as well makes you really good at IFR really fast. That is super helpful when you can try and kind of drag that over to DCS and fly the IFR stuff there. You already know what to do. You just got to figure out how it works within your airplane, which is never well.
Yeah, the military side, you're dealing with, all right, I have one radio point and some radio nav equipment and an ILS antenna, and that's it.
Yeah, unless you're a C-130, which is the only thing that'll get in DCS a civilian navigation system alongside its military navigation system. Which I'm excited for that, because that'll make, like, C-130 ones way less of a pain in the ass in the future, instead of manually inputting waypoints 24/7.
Yeah, C-130 is an upcoming module that you're excited for, right?
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll reduce suffering.
Airshow, what upcoming flight sim updates are you looking forward to other than the F4? Because I know you're going to say the F4.
No. I'm excited for the Corsair.
Ooh.
Just because a bit of
The one or the two?
The one. Just because carrier operations in World War II are so cool. Other than that, the full fidelity MiG-29 has got my little nuts quaking. It'll probably be my new main when it comes out. Yeah.
I absolutely cannot wait for the F4U. We're especially with carrier ops in multiplayer, that is going to be some popcorn worthy stuff to watch on day one.
Yeah, man, rig the barricade.
I wonder if it'll give you the capability they had in Korea to go off of, like, the slant, modern style carriers. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you've got the run length to take off, but you don't necessarily need a catapult in the those naval fighters.
Yeah, that's true.
It will certainly be interesting to see how servers handle takeoff and landing ops on those, because they're quite a bit different than the modern carriers where you have the ability to do both at once.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll be disastrous unless you're sitting on the side with your popcorn. In that case, it'd be amazing.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch all the poor carrier ops, and then I'm gonna reap the karma when I have to learn the A7 on the carrier.
That'll be so much coming out, like stuff to do.
This is where I said before that we definitely feel like we're entering the height of flight sims. I don't know if this is going to be like the golden age or if that's yet to come, but we feel like we're in a great time for flight sims.
No, it's a dark age.
No. All doom and gloom. We need to hit rock bottom. We're almost to rock bottom. All this new stuff coming out in a growing flight simulator.
Oh no. We're actually at rock bottom. That's why everything is always up.
Yeah, all the time. You know, it's never good. It's never fun. And civilian flight simulation does not exist. There is only DCS, Falcon BMS, and IL-2.
What are you talking about? Most people don't even know that Falcon BMS exists.
Yeah. It's just... Oh, that video.
Alright, I think I've got time for one more.
Okay. Then I've got this one, and this is the question. What is an insult you've received that you are proud of?
Gosh, I'm not sure.
It's a hard question.
That is a difficult question.
But I love this question.
That I'm proud of. That's the trickiest part, is that I'm proud of.
If you want to pass, we can ask the other last question we have.
Yeah, I just keep thinking like the things that people have said about me is like I'm a clout chaser, or I'm or you know, like I love getting accused of being a sex pest, because I'm in the interesting position of like streaming with some female content creators just because we're friends, but that kind of activates some people when it comes to getting hostile, and that seeing their precious Oshis interacting with a male is unacceptable to them, which I'm just like, oh, okay, I guess I'll go tell my partner that I'm a sex pest.
Oof.
Oh yeah, and Big Nui telling me to stop telling people that that the Kiowa is coming out in 2.9.
That's a good one.
Still right. Until they release 3.0 or 2.10, you are still right.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
What's your other burning question?
The other one was, if you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
Being a good friend.
I definitely think you'll be remembered for that.
And having a huge dick.
Not being a huge dick and having a good friend.
I don't know. I want all of those words, you know, in the eulogy. I don't know where.
Somewhere in there. I always found the sex pest insult that they fling at you is so strange, considering you're like you're happy with your home life and you get a great stable relationship, but somehow you are simultaneously to those absolutely insane people a sex pest at the same time. I think it's just completely ridiculous.
I'm always like, oh damn, no one told me. Like,
I think it's a fairly common thing for male presenting VTubers who interact with female presenting VTubers to run into.
I got sent an image last night where apparently somebody took a screen cap of Sharklet's stream last night, but they blurred out me, you, and Hex so that we weren't visible in the screen grab.
Good, good.
Something tells me they don't like the male on stream environment of DCS. God, that had me dying last night when I saw that.
All right.
All right.
I think might be a good point to wrap up now. Air Show, do you have any announcements before you leave?
No.
When's your next stream gonna be?
Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 4 p.m. London time. Shit, I was like, that was so funny that you're like, have you got any announcements? And I think to myself, I'm like, oh shit, I haven't planned anything. I haven't planned anything at all.
It's
I'll
okay.
be live on Monday. That's an announcement. It's not exactly surprising, but
Yeah, you don't have to have big events all the time.
yeah, no big events planned, but we'll see how it goes. And yeah, fuck, how am I fucking this up at the end? Follow me.
Yeah,
Please-
follow Erica.
Please follow Air Show. There's his Twitch link. It's also in the title of the stream. He's a fantastic content creator. He is fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
He makes the
arguably-
best and the worst jokes.
yeah, like he just does it all well. Amazing at working a crowd and audience. He is the best of the male VTubers. Sorry, Mika. I love you. You're a great husband. But,
I think Air Show is a better content creator than I am by far. Joe,
That's kind of sad.
Joe, do you have any announcements you want to make before the end of stream?
I won't be in the Wizzo seat the next 2 Saturdays. So if you're one of Sharklet's viewers that gets very mad that I'm on stream sometimes, or just hates me in general, I remember being the schizo arc. Be glad I'll be gone for 2 weeks.
All right. Maybe I can take your place if she's flying the F-15.
Yeah, I need
Still.
a substitute.
And for me, I don't have a schedule this week. I'll be doing stuff wherever. I think I might do a Flight Sim Sunday today. It'll depend on how bad the weather is and whether I can get to the store or not. But thank you, Air Show, for joining. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Joe, for co-hosting, and thank you all viewers for watching. This one I'll actually put up on YouTube in today instead of a week from now.
It's a good idea.
And I think the last order of business is, who the heck do we raid?
I think maybe Ariana's supposed to start streaming like now. So maybe we go visit her. Unless Sharklet is... No, I don't think we have a shark stream today.
No shark stream right now. Ari's not up yet.
Maybe give it another minute or something else. Air Show, you have a suggestion?
We don't wait is the rule here. So I'm gonna toss you over to someone who is just starting playing Elite Dangerous. Or just starting their stream playing Elite Dangerous. They're another small VTuber. Maybe we can drag them into Flight Sims from Elite Dangerous.
Yeah, that's a good kidnapping idea. I like that.
But let's give them a nice raid 1 or raid 2 if you don't have the emotes. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time. We'll
Thank you
definitely
for having me.
Yeah, we'll definitely see you next
was
week
great
with
to have you.
Sharklet.
Yeah. It'll be fun next week. Right there.
Bye bye.